Well, that was embarrassing. Hello, Alan Lee. How are you doing? Lord have mercy. That was embarrassing. I had accidentally went public instead of private on the class event, and people started popping in. They weren't members, and I was like, I don't recognize any of these names. Lord have mercy. How you doing, Alan? It's going to be a short class tonight, but I figured it's better than no class because we're not going to have a class again until May 13th. So I want to get a discussion in. I want to talk about some CNC furniture and introduce y'all to some pretty cool hardware that one may not think about when making furniture. Hopefully you're doing well. While we're waiting for everyone to pop in, let me be right back. Let me grab something before I choke to death. All right, you be a good girl. I'll take you outside after class. See you in a minute. All right. Alan, it could be just me and you tonight, man, because I screwed up. I had a few people pop in a moment ago, but they might not know how to get back to this new link because they might not know how to get back to this new link that I just posted because the old link doesn't work anymore. They might be sitting there thinking, where'd it go? But I appreciate you popping in. We're going to take a look at some pretty cool. The furniture can be made out of a lot of different things. Mostly, you'll see a lot of it made out of like a really high-end cabinet grade, or would it be cabinet grade? Really high-end plywood. I think it would be considered. I don't know if cabinet grade is the right term. Hey, Roger S., thanks for popping back in. I don't know if cabinet grade is the proper term. Airplane grade, I know that term with the birch plywood, meaning that you could build an airplane with it. But anyway, a really high-end plywood with many veneers. You'll usually see this type of furniture made with that, and it can really get very stylish and stuff. And it's really simple to lay out. Hey, JR, how you doing, bud? Thanks for popping in. It's really simple to lay out and create some cool designs. But the hidden hardware that you don't see, not many people think about it or really know what would be the best way to approach to make it. And I want to kind of pull back the curtain, if you will. And there's many ways that it can be done, but the one way that there's some pretty slick hardware that is used. And while people are popping in, hey, Ronald, how are you doing? Good to see everybody. Let me show on the screen some of the samples of some of the furniture I'm referring to. So if we take a look over on the screen share that I'm about to throw up, let's see, entire screen share. And let's just to start off with, let's take a look at this particular image here. And this type of furniture that you may see a lot of different unique looking pieces and things, and you'll see them in very decorative type of parts, and it could be end tables and everything. It could be chair type hardware, benches, and just some really cool slick stuff. And what you're not seeing in here in this furniture and everything, well, this one you're seeing the outside exposed hardware, but most of these other pieces and everything, the hardware is hidden. And what is a cool and nice way to create this? Let's see, JR is here. Hey, JR, what's happening, bud? Good job.
Not too much.
Some really nice hardware that is very rarely known. These parts are made with pipe, of course. Now, they can be made out of wooden dowels too. But for rigidity, most of the benches and things that you would see, like in really high-end buildings and things, these benches and all, the parts are held and spaced together on a pipe, like a steel pipe. It could be gas line pipe. Typically it's about 1 inch diameter or half-inch diameter, what have you. But there are holes drilled through each of the parts except for the two end pieces. Those are half blind holes, meaning they don't go all the way through the material, so you don't see the end and everything. And when these pipes are in here running through and everything on these parts and everything, and there's spacers that are put in as well to space them and everything. What you're not seeing for the most part on these are how everything is secured together. And a very cool product. So the pipe, we have a half blind hole on the end parts, and then through holes on all the other parts. So the two end pieces, there is a half blind hole cut probably halfway in on the two end pieces, and then of course the rest of the pieces, the holes go all the way through. So the pipe kind of threads all the way through. And then in there, you can't see it from this angle. I wish they had a better angle, but there are spacers in between the parts to kind of keep that nice spacing and everything. Well, short of gluing the rod, or epoxying, if you will, the rod into the end piece, and then trying to slide. Hey, Ronnie, how you doing? Bring Ronnie in here. Trying to slide the parts on, get the spacers, part, spacer, and everything. And then getting the last piece, get the epoxy on, slide it on, and now you have this piece that is epoxy together. It's not coming apart whatsoever. Future repairs or anything like that. Well, one great piece of hardware that is very rarely known about is a mountable, let me see if I can say this right, a mountable stop collar. And it's the term stop collar is shaft collar is a better term. A mountable shaft collar is a better term. A rod collar or a split collar or something. And what I want to show you, let me bring the part online here. This is Stafford, and Stafford makes some really great mountable stop collars. But there's absolutely there's other brands and everything. Ruland makes some, Stafford makes some. Amazon, man, you're hard pressed to find them on Amazon. Now you'll find split collars and shaft collars on Amazon and stuff like that, but mountable shaft collars and things, that's the hard ones that you're not going to really find them too well. But Stafford makes some really nice one. So if we were to look at this really closely and everything here, these are countersink. They're even tapped and stuff. I personally prefer the non-tapped, but that's okay. But what this is on the inside of your hardware, you're going to, or on the inside of your face of your plywood, or that end cap, let's call it the end cap, not plywood. It could be made out of anything, but on that end cap, you're going to have a hole, let's say 3/8 of an inch deep on this 3/4 inch, piece of material, whatever the thickness is. And once again, let me pull up this. We'll use this piece as reference here. So let's open this in a new window. And we'll just use this as a reference. So this end part here, it looks like it's got a couple of pieces glued together, make it real thick and stuff, give it a nice leg and all, and great. But our blind holes are going to be cut in so that our part slides all the way in and really seats nicely. Now, on the inside face of this, you're going to have these shaft collars mounted through those mount holes, those countersink mount holes. You're going to have them mounted, and when the shaft slides through, when the shaft slides through and everything, there is a set screw that you'll tighten down that will crimp or clamp onto the shaft, and it will clamp onto the shaft, holding that part in place. That's what secures everything together. So now you have a piece of furniture that's really well secured, but it's also able to be broke down in the event of rot, decay, anything need to be remade, or a part need to be replaced, or hell, you want to add some more, you want to longer rods and add more parts to it, make it bigger, whatever the case may be, right? It's so it's not just a fixed piece where the ends are epoxied and you just you'd end up having to bust it apart to get to the pieces. You can use these mountable shaft collars for a lot of reasons. I use them quite a bit, to when I am making curtain rods too, but closet rods and everything. I use them inside closets when I'm doing remodels or in my house and stuff. I came across these mountable collars and all from Digital Wood Carver, from the Mini Carver. The Mini Carver has these rods that go into these end caps on the Mini Carver of our CNC machine, and there's not really a lot securing that, and except for the table. I mean, it's secure and everything, but if somebody screwed up and were carrying the machine or mishandling it or flipping up it on its side, they could literally, tear the bolts right out of the bottom of the table and everything. So these split collars are a wonderful thing to add to really secure them in. And using them with this furniture, this type of furniture and everything, it's a really good choice. Not only the furniture, but also on those parabolic walls or parametric walls that you see in those wall art and things like that. When you type in, I don't even know what it is. I think it's called parametric wall art. These things. So in this parametric wall art installations and everything, sometimes they use wood across the back, and on the back of each one of these pieces, there's the notches. So each one of the pieces fit into the notch, and then on the end caps, they're hidden and all, and they're secured that way, or they're secure with, rods going all the way through. And then of course you can use the stop collar on the, end of the rods and everything. And now in this case, they use wood. So they just hook it on. There's a wood piece that goes across the back on the top and the bottom. All these parts hang on, and then the two end caps go back, and you can't see those parts in the middle. So when there's the backer board, and when these pieces get hooked on, you can't see them, and blah blah blah. And then the end piece goes on and covers, covers the part, so you can't see that and everything. But some of those parametric walls and everything are, especially in the counter types and all, there's rods in there, and these shaft collars are a great way to make that connect. And so since all of us have CNCs, all of us have the ability to make furniture. Well, it doesn't matter what size CNC we have. I mean, we don't have to cut full sheets. We can break our sheets down, and we can cut the parts, one by one, and then do the assembly. And with these parts, we can really create some amazing pieces. Now these here, the rods go all the way through to the end on this particular piece, and they have end caps on it to give it kind of a finished look. Or they're using wooden dowels. I can't tell from that far away. Or they're using wooden dowels. Some of them, their wooden dowels go through, and then of course they're just tapping and screwing, so you have the exposed hardware on the side. The ones where the hardware is not exposed, these are great. These shaft collars are great ways to assemble these pieces to really get that finished look where you don't see that hardware and everything. These loungers and chases and everything, of course, these are all exposed hardware here. And but some of them you want, your hardware to be hidden and stuff, depending on what it is. And with that, it really kind of allows itself to some really cool stuff, some pretty awesome designs. You can get kind of creative with it, and it's just a matter of creating the parts and all. So Ronnie, how you doing? JR, how you doing? Good to see y'all tonight. We're starting late because I've just been bombarded with digital woodcarver customers, and I thought we better have a class, better late than never, because we're not going to have a class again until May 13th, while I'm out of town in Indiana.
Well, since I was one of those guys who were keeping you busy today, I can't really complain.
Right. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, no problem. It's all good. There was a big queue that was building up after you, and finally got them all done and everything. I talked with my coder tonight, JR, and gave him a heads up and everything. So he'll be prepared. We'll get your code straightened out Saturday, and then get you updated and all that stuff too. So I'll be able to get with you and get you updated after he's done doing what he does.
Okay.
And all that. So that'll be good. It'll get you to the latest version of the software, which is pretty slick in itself. So I wanted to be able to have some type of discussion, and I just ordered some of these collars, and I thought, you know what? I don't know if many people know about them, or if anyone's ever wanted to make some of this, pretty neat little furniture designs and everything. And if I just let's take it another step here. CNC plywood furniture. Let's see if what would be a good term for that? CNC, not CMC, CNC, parametric furniture. That's parametric. That's really so limiting. CNC. I was just there. Furniture design ideas. Where, oh, where are we tonight? So, yeah. Let's see if I can open a new tab. Can't really zoom in, but these pieces like this, really, I mean, they're super simple to cut the parts. The parts, there's not a lot to them. They're kind of almost like this lightning bolt shape, right? And the other parts have the same shape except for they angle back to create this nice. And the angle, that back angle here varies on each part, creating that nice curve, that kind of where it comes in and everything. Super simplistic in design. Everything is designed the same here, except for you're incrementing the leg coming back just to create that nice little pattern. Now, your rods, where the patterns are going to emerge, the rods are here and along the back, the butt, where the butt is, and across the top. There may be one or two here. I think there's just going to be probably, because of the butt, there's just going to be one across the top. And on the inside, that's where these shaft collars would be great hardware. So you're not having to, I'm not a big fan of like epoxying everything together. And then it just, I could never repair it in the future. I could never, disassemble, and you might not want to. Who knows? I don't know. All I know is I like not modular. Is modular the right term? I like to be able to, if I need to break something down, I can break it down. It's not, I don't have to tear it apart. I think that's called modular. I think that's the right term. I'm not really good at it, but that's kind of what I'm getting at. Hey, Kool-Aid, good to see you. Thanks for popping in. And Roger S., I think I said hello to you earlier. But the shaft collars, they come in a variety of, let me see if I can find the shaft collars again. They come in a variety of designs and shapes. And the mountable shaft collars, they have a mounting hole. So there's non-mountable and then there's mountable. We want the mountable shaft collars that have the through hole through, and so that we can bolt that to the wood piece on the inside where our blind hole is. Our rod goes through, and then we have a set screw that we can easily access to tighten that down to lock that part in and everything. And the threaded face holes or non-threaded face holes, and I would, prefer the drilled face holes, meaning that they're non-threaded, because our bolts are they're gonna go into the face and everything. And so Roland is a good source as well. They have a variety of your stainless steel, black onyx and everything, very affordable pricing. The bore size is important, the hole size. The bore size is going to be based on what size rod you use and everything. Now, they don't have a large variety of bore size and everything. They most commonly, you'll have 1/2 inch, 5/8, 1 inch. I do not, I'm sure 3/8 probably, but it gets kind of after that, they really don't have a whole lot of choices and everything. But mountable, that's the key term. And I don't know why Amazon doesn't carry them. They're just they all Amazon carries are then non-mountable. It means they don't have the through holes, which are fine. Now, I'll tell you this, I got a drill press. If I'm in a pinch and everything, and I can't, if I'm not going to get them in time and everything, I can go to Amazon, Amazon.com, and the split collar shaft holes. I mean, they have 4 packs, this and that, but they don't have the mounting hole, right? I can drill a hole just as easy as anybody, right? And so I can get this 4-pack here for $12.79. Have to do a little extra work, and all to drill my own holes, versus a mounted hole that's $23 for one, right? So you got to kind of think about and weigh your options and all that stuff. These are really nice hardware and everything. I don't mind the cost and all that stuff, but in a pinch, same thing, just doesn't have the through hole. Drill it yourself. If you're like, money matters, right? And then with these, you can see you have now they're mostly in metric and all that stuff, but they have a variety of that bore size, that hole size. So now your rods, depending on the furniture, you can really kind of get creative. And I like the split where it's like literally in half. So if I needed to secure it, I use the split with the mini cover, because I don't want to have to take the rods apart of the machine apart if I want to just secure that part in. But they come in the shaft collars. They come in 3/4, shaft collars where they don't go all the way around. They come in where it's a split C, or they come in the full split. So this is a full split, and then you have your those are all full split. You have your non-split where it has to slide. There's no like after fact and everything. This one, it doesn't crimp down on the bolt. You have set screws all the way around to tighten into the bolt. That's okay. I like to be able to crimp on it. And then you have your, there's a lot of different variety here. None of them are mountable on Amazon. Don't know why, but again, if you get the one with a little bit of a wider face, easy to drill your own holes, and that's a kind of a crappy one right there. But anyway, long story short, so I really wanted to talk about this because I just ordered a couple, and I thought, I don't know if many people know that much about these, or if they've ever considered that. Ronnie, have you ever made plywood furniture on your CNC, this kind of architectural type furniture with this, this space and all? You ever ventured into any of that?
I have not, Laney.
Okay. What about you, JR? Have you ever ventured into that?
I haven't made furniture, but like for a bench or something like that, what I would just take would be threaded rod and lock nuts and fender washers.
All right. So threaded rods, lock nuts, and fender washers. So are you pressing the lock nuts into the end cap in pieces?
Typically, if I was just doing the top, I would just, drill a spacer hole.
Right. Are you going all? Yeah. If they're rods, like for instance, these rods, the rods are in here. You can't see them. They're half blind holes on the end caps. Right. But they go all the way through. Are you, if you're using threaded rods and lock nuts, that means you're going all the way through. So you have exposed hardware, right?
Yeah. And then I could just make a cap for it, cover that up if I wanted to, but
right.
Never really needed to.
Yep. So someone could have on their end cap, they could have a 3/4 inch piece. They could have a through hole, and then on their finished piece, they could have a half blind hole that goes right over that bolt, right? So absolutely could, right over that nut and everything to hide it, and also give that look. And then they could glue that in. Again, it makes it permanent, right? So that's absolutely another way for sure to do that. 100%, it works. By the way, I don't know who the guy was that designed this piece of furniture or this pedestal. I am in love with this particular pedestal design right here. This where's it at? Where did it open up at? Right here. That to me is just bad to the bone. I think it looks awesome. The way that this is a solid beam right here in the middle, and you have your upper piece. All four pieces are identical, made exactly 100% the same. And then one is flipped upside down. One is, sits on the floor, but there's these bolts, these beautiful big bolts that put it together, and it has this kind of architectural bridge type thing. Oh, I love this. That base right there is gorgeous. I would have that in my house. I surely would. Anyway, that's beside the point. But when it comes to this, they refer to it as parametric furniture and things like that. Sometimes, also like what JR was saying, you could bolt it on, and you see these have these decorative caps, right? Nice little round wood decorative caps right here that kind of cover that hardware. Absolutely. Now that hardware could very well also be on the outside, it could be that slip collar, right? That kind of clips it and everything. And then a cap could go right over that and fit over that, or whatever the case may be, for sure. Anybody else in the chat? Have any of you ever made any of the plywood furniture or any of this type of architectural design? Where I'm getting at is you could really do some cool stuff. That's a pretty slick desk right there. You got to have some kind of solid piece or some kind of mats or something, because shit's just going to be falling through. You'll be losing your pen every 5 minutes and all. But now these are bolts. If we zoom in here, those beautiful bolts, they probably have on their rods, they probably have something tapped at the end, because I do not think their bolts are one long threaded bolt going through there. But though that exposed hardware, does have a good look and everything, I'm looking at the design that doesn't have exposed hardware, that's hidden, right? And an end cap absolutely could be made to cover right over that. But also we could have that inside hardware where that slip collar's right on the inside. It goes into the part, into that recessed hole, and then the collar's mounted to the inside face there, and it can just secure in. And you would never see it unless you were looking from the front or the back, those collars and all. Now, this particular design, that's slick as all be it as far as a desk, like I said, but you'd be losing your pins and stuff through it. But I would absolutely make something like that. I think that's, it's pretty cool and everything. But and the plans, I'm assuming that, it's CNC files. The $40 for the plans, I can understand that and everything. But they're not selling that for $40, but for the plans, it's a pretty simple design. I don't know if, really, you see how it kind of curves in. It's just the parts are just shrunk, right? Creating that curve and everything. Pretty slick, but probably worth every penny on that $40. CNC Wall Art is a Etsy store that sells parametric wall art designs for CNC that you can download to run and carve and all that stuff. But for the most part, you could really get fairly creative. I was trying to find, if I go into my if I went into here, there we go. That's the one I'm looking for right here. So this glued together, it's hard to see. Let's see if we can see kind of a side view here. So literally, the parts are, they're kind of almost, except for the end caps, they are somewhat reversed and everything. And even on here, the rods are coming through on these coffee tables and stuff. But here, yes, I could face glue every one of these pieces together. And it's once it's built, it's built. It ain't coming apart, right? But also I could apply some modularity to it to where I could disassemble it if I needed to, or what have you. So long story short, I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I'm just stressing shaft collars. I think they're a pretty cool, slick piece of hardware that many people may not consider when it comes to this really slick architect. I don't know if it's called architectural, but this parametric type, furniture, and that's what they call it, parametric table, side table. But there's hidden rods in there. You can't see them because of the end caps, but also we could have some hidden hardware and stuff. But it really alludes to some really cool, slick stuff like this coffee table. The parts come around, they stop, and then a glass, center. We have this nice little shower bench, that same concept and everything, same parts, cut out with spacers. These are larger pieces, of course, so plywood, definitely. But this nice U shape, it's hard to see on the small screen, these little thumbnails, but all of these have rods that connect the parts together, unless they're glued together, with the spacers and glued and everything. But I'm sure for the most part, like this one has rods in it and everything to really create some really cool designs. And I'm just trying to open, I don't want to have I don't want to harp on it too much, but I'm just trying to open up the gateway to some, if you're sitting there making signs every day, CNC signs, and you're really kind of, whether it be a 3D carve or a CNC sign and stuff, there's days I'm signed out. I'm done making signs. There's only so many signs I can make and stuff. And I want to really push my CNC. I want to make something that's utilitarian or that I can use, right? Whether I use it in my house, I use it in my shop, I use it in my office, whatever the case may be. I want to kind of start. I don't want to get rabbit holed into one thing. And when I start venturing into something new that I'm not familiar with and things like that, I might sit there and look at this and go, well, how in the hell are they putting that together? And what's holding it all together? I don't see any hardware. I don't see any of this. I don't see any of that. And so I'm just trying to kind of give you that inside look or inside thought process. These are all, they're notched together, right? They kind of just notch together and everything. But where the parts just literally slip and fit together. But you can see here's one without the end caps. And these rods go all the way through. Now, these are wooden rods. So they're just sliding the part, sliding the spacer, sliding. There's their stack of parts back there in the back. They're making these. They're sliding it spacer on these wooden dowels. Now, how they connect the end caps? Are they glued in? Are they using some type of stop hardware? Or are they screwing into the end of the dowels on the end and they have exposed hardware? Who knows, right? On that front. In this case, they're probably doing exposed hardware like you see here in these pieces where those dowels are. They're probably cutting all the way through the dowel. They just give it a nice stain, that darker end grain is going to show up a little bit different. So it just kind of creates that contrast of color, whatever. There's a lot of options there. But when you're coming into things that, where it's not, the hardware's not exposed or relatively easily to see and stuff, then you kind of figure out if you want it to be modular or if it's all just going to get glued together. And once that glue dries, that sucker is not coming apart unless somebody breaks it. Which is, of course, there's nothing wrong with doing that at all, right? We do that every day when we build boxes and everything. So that is, in a nutshell, I kind of want to just have a discussion and see what y'all's thought really quickly. We got, it's not going to be a really long late night class, but Ronnie, what are your thoughts on this? Is it something that you would see as a possible practical use? Of course, it's really affordable at $23 a pop. If your furniture pieces, are selling for, $500 to $1,500 to whatever, then I don't mind spending, $50 on hardware. But could you see an application for this if you were making this kind of furniture, or is it something that, I just want to glue the piece together and I don't ever want to take it apart again? Or, I'm thinking for shipping, right? Shipping purposes, this thing can be flat packed, shipped. The customer could assemble it like an IKEA type thing, but all they have to do is when they slide the end cap on, they have these set screws on those collars that they tighten down and done, right? So, I can reduce shipping if I'm actually making these and selling these, right? What are your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts? Do you have, putting you on the spot?
Yeah, I mean, I can see it's pretty cool. Some of that stuff is really cool, and someday I might have some downtime where I can go out and just create things like this that you're showing.
Yeah, well, you're mostly like JR has customers too and everything. Y'all mostly do business and all, but Ronnie, you have like most of the stuff that you make on your CNC. You're not just making it to make it. You have like orders that you have to fill.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's not like it's not like, I want to make a sign today or whatever. I mean, your machine is running to fulfill an obligation.
Yeah.
And JR's is too.
Yeah. It's purely business related. I don't really, when I first got the CNC, I dabbled around trying to get to know the CNC and software and all that. But
right
now it's, just a 9 to 5. Seems like it's turned into 7 days a week business.
Right.
And I was late joining because I was in the spray room. I got a big cabinet job going on right now. And so I've been spraying clear on a bunch of cabinet doors and cabinet boxes. And yeah, I'm just behind. I'm way behind.
Yeah, turning the page for a second. Your spray booth, is it attached or is it separate from your workshop? Like because of dust and everything, it's
attached
like a little enclosure.
Yeah, but it's a separate structure attached to my main shop that I enter through a door, and it's an open booth.
Fairly easy to keep the dust out of it from any of the CNC and woodworking
tools.
tools.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm pulling some of the fresh air from not only the outside of the building itself because it just pressurizes when you turn that blower on. But I've got cutouts through the wall from the shop side that go into where the finish room is, and I have a set of filters inside the walls that are filtering any type of dust before it comes into the spray area.
Nice. That's slick. Yeah, I don't have enough room, but I always thought that I will have one day when I finish that little shed and get it cleared out of all the storage it's storing right now. But I always thought to myself that I would have one of my shops, the new building would be all the machines and everything. And the old building, which was a 12 by 24, that would be my half of it, because it's 24 foot long, 12 foot wide, right? It's not a big building or anything, but the front half would be where I could actually like assemble stuff, because I don't really have a whole lot of workbench, so I can assemble stuff. And then the back half would be where I could spray, stains, finishes, clear coats, and everything. I'm not a. I like my cab acrylic in my HPLV sprayer, and I'm a spray guy. If I'm not using a rattle can, I'm using a sprayer, and I'm Sherman Williams cab acrylic lacquer, and I don't do a whole lot of polys and things. I'm a lacquer kind of guy, unless I'm doing a wipe on close to the grain finish. I'm lacquer.
I was a big fan of lacquer. I was using M.L. Campbell, a Precat, and
Yep.
But I got to tell you, the fumes, the VOC on that stuff is just incredible. Plus, it's so highly volatile. Last thing I need to do is blow up or burn down my shop. So I actually have switched over to a 1K product. It's called Sayerlac, Sayerlac. K. Comes out of Italy. They sell it 6 liters in a can, and it's distributed by Sherwin-Williams. And it's water based. They've offered in both a 1K and a 4K, and it is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Great hang time, vertical hang, better than the lacquer. And I really love it. And I don't. I still wear a mask, but you don't.
Sure.
You don't have all the fumes.
Yeah. Now it's very expensive. Now, real quick, this finish is very expensive that I'm about to talk about. But have you seen that UV cured finish? That it's beautiful to put on, and you run this really high UV light on it. And
have you used it? I've spent close to $1,000 on the light and all the stuff.
The light, yeah.
And I don't know, man. I can't. I've tried it so many different times. I mean, it's super expensive, and I put it in the drawer. I don't use it anymore. It's getting bubbles in it. For me, it's a piece of crap. It was not good for me. I watch so many YouTube videos on it. The guy makes it look so easy, and I'm like, I don't know. There's some magic here that I don't know about.
Right. Okay. I was just about to say, because I watched the videos and I'm like enthralled. I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to give this stuff a try, but I've never been able to really pull the trigger on it.
I did,
because
it's crazy expensive. But if it would have worked, I would have got the money back in hours, quickly. So I was willing to do the investment, but man, I had to go back and resand all the finish off and try it again. And I don't know, man, it was a mess.
Right. I think I put JR, I wore him out today. Let's see here.
Nah, I'm up.
All right, just want to make sure you're still with me. I lost the chat. Oh Lord have mercy. The job, I stay away from jobs that require, like polyurethane finishes or anything like that. I try to avoid those as much as possible, because me and poly, just like you said, that finish that you spend all that money on, I can't get poly to finish proper I can't get it to
clear armor.
I even have a hard time with the wipe on poly. Me and poly don't get along.
But Clear Armor is the brand that I invested in, and
that's them.
Yeah,
But the videos show it, and they're like, man, it's like, oh, dude, this is great, and
I'm not. I don't want to just not. I mean, it could be user error, like very well could be. But I mean,
sure.
I followed the steps, and I've tried it numerous times, without any good. Here's the thing: if you're just doing a tabletop where you're doing everything, from a horizontal perspective, yeah, maybe so. But when you're doing casework and you've got vertical, how am I keeping this stuff? I don't know. But anyway, I bailed on it pretty quick.
Yeah, vertical is a tough one. All the way around, anytime, and everything. Well, that's cool. That as far as your finishing and everything. I wish I was stronger in that department when it comes to finishing and stuff. I don't know. What do you think, chat? I'm going to open this up to the chat, and we're going to say our goodbyes and stuff. It's a short night. I've got to start preparing to head out. But chat that are watching, everybody watching, would you, to turn back to the furniture and everything, could you see a use for this type of hardware? Could you see yourself knowing, like, oh, I can do it this way? Could you see yourself trying to experiment with some of this CNC plywood furniture, this architectural type furniture and things? Curious, let me know. I don't have we don't have a class tomorrow. For those of you that know, there's no public class tomorrow. And then our classes, our private classes will resume on May 13th when I return. If any of you are living or close to the Indiana area, I'm going to be up in Martinsville, Indiana at the Digital Woodcarver home office. We have an open house. Anybody's welcome. It's free. May 9th and 10th. We're going to have all of our machines on display and running them and stuff. And I'll be teaching classes up there and to the Digital Woodcarver customers. But if any of you are in the Indiana area, Martinsville, Indiana, come on out to check out digitalwoodcarver.com for the address, 189 West Walnut Street in Martinsville, Indiana. But come on by and say hi. Where are you based out of, Ronnie? I know JR's in Michigan. Where are you out of?
Yeah, I'm in northwest Arkansas.
Nice.
Outside of about an hour and a half to the east of Fayetteville, Rogers, Bentonville area.
Yeah.
And
you know what's crazy? I drove home from Florida to Indiana, and I went through. I didn't realize it, but I was in Arkansas. I had to drive on the way from Indiana to Florida. I had to go to New Orleans first. I had a school there that I had to go teach. And somehow or another, I took the 65 or whatever it was. But I came and I was driving. It was taking me around. I went outside of Tennessee, and I was in Arkansas. And I was like, yeah, damn, in Arkansas. And then I ended up swinging back. It got after Arkansas. It swung me back through, I forget what part of some part of Tennessee, and then down to Alabama and New Orleans and stuff. But yeah, first time in Arkansas. This wasn't too long ago. I was driving back and all. So you're in the northwest side?
Well, it's northwest section. I don't know if you've heard of like Branson, Missouri.
Yeah.
I'm like 40 minutes just south of Branson, Missouri. I'm right on the Missouri-Arkansas state line. And but yeah, I'd love to entice you to come visit sometime, and let's make some stuff. I got all kind of things, I mean, I can. We've got an Airbnb, so I've got a place to put you up, and we'll work out a payment structure for your time.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. I'm always loving to travel on the road. I will say this now, and I've never really offered it to Spindle TV customers. It's always been Digital Woodcarver customers and all, but once a year I go out on the road and I drive all over the United States, and I think I even went to Niagara, Canada, Hamilton, Canada, and all. But I'll drive and I'll do in-home trainings, and there's I'll make it to where it's the schedule will fit, so wherever the people fit, so I can create a nice. I'm not going to be zigzagging all over the U.S. Ooh, we lost connection. Zigzagging all over the U.S., but I'll do a tour and that once a year.
Well,
I will do in-home training
itinerary. I'm serious.
I will. We can definitely talk about that for sure. I love getting out on the road. So I'll touch base with you and we'll work something out when I'm going to be in the area for sure. Because literally it wasn't a bad. I mean, I was in that. It wasn't a bad way to get to Arkansas. I mean, so in St. Louis, Missouri, I'm always over there, and I have customers over there and stuff. So the tour always takes me around right in that area. So if you're just outside of Branson, right? Branson.
Yeah, Branson.
Yeah.
So, I'm about 45 minutes due south of Branson.
South of that. Yeah, we can definitely work that out for sure. I'll let you know. Absolutely.
Let me know. I'll get you booked in the cottage.
There you go. Okay. Can't say no to that. But real quick, there was a question I wanted to ask. Hey, Kool-Aid from Chicago. There was a question I wanted to ask, and it was a good one. It had to do with your CNC machine has an automatic tool changer. Is that correct?
You're asking me, Laney?
Yes, sir, Ronnie. You.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's got a 10 position ATC on it.
ATC. Is it a linear rack, meaning that they're all in a row, or is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me ask. No. Okay. Good. Let me ask you a question. When you have to, if you have to, from time to time, things happen, and you have to kind of, rediscover your rack positions on your CNC, right? For your tool table, you got to reset your X and Y for your tool positions, your slots. Do you use the method where you have a tool rack or a tool holder upside down in your rack without a collet and a nut in it, and then in your spindle you might have a tool holder with a dowel that kind of finds the center of that? Or is there a certain procedure that your machine uses to find your tool locations easily? Or is it kind of a tedious pain in the butt?
No, it came from the factory out of Minnesota somewhere where they make them, already locked in and dialed in, position 1 through 10.
You've never had to refine your? No kidding.
No
computer crashes or nothing where you had to where you lost your data and all that. That's cool. That's good.
Now, if they do offer now, they're offering a 14 position tool holder, and it's also made so that you don't have to drop the dust skirt when you're doing tool changes.
Right.
If I wanted to do that upgrade, I would then need to contact support, and then they would take over control of my WinCNC, and they would get me dialed in.
Yeah, because you have Shop Saver, is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right, that's cool. The reason why I'm saying is there's a lot of different methods for finding that tool position and stuff, for initial setup of a tool rack and everything. And for those that are looking to do a DIY ATC or anything like that in the future and stuff. But one of the methods that I found to be super useful, and I wrote a code for it as well, but where in your CNC you would have just a 1/4-inch dowel pin, in your tool holder, and then another tool holder without the collet nut on it upside down. You'd have your tool rack would be grounded out so that it's like a sensor base, like your little touch button. So when the bit comes and touches, it touches the outside of the tool holder and it backs off, and then it finds the top of the tool holder, and then it moves into the center and finds the center by touching off all four walls. And then once it lands in the center, it programs in the tool table automatically to that position. And then you just move to the next one and do the same thing. And I was just trying to find out what method you use, but if you never had to do it, that's fine. I was going to, offer if you ever needed to, I'd be willing to share my code with you. It'd be a useful code, but it doesn't sound like you need it at all, because if you've never had to do it, then that's amazing in itself.
Yeah. The only thing I've had trouble with on my machine is the air sensor went bad on me. It was right in the middle of a tool change. Got right over, about to drop the tool. It took an error and aborted. And I was like, oh, crap, what do I do now?
Right.
And so I thankfully, Shop Saber, man, just great people. I call them. They always answer like on the second ring. I told the guy what was going on. He took over control and told me what my problem was. Before I got off the phone, I had another one ordered. Came the next day, was back up and running. So
yeah. Hey, Shop Saver, and really quickly, Kool-Aid, you're absolutely right. It'd be very nice to make outdoor patio set like that with the furniture that we're talking about. But Shop Saver, really good customer service. Can't knock it at all, because we have a think tank. I've called a think tank here in town, where literally you go into this big old warehouse and it's nothing but CNC machines, plasma cutters, 3D printers, foam cutters, wall to wall, and they do R&D, and they just make stuff, right? They come up with all kinds of ideas and they make stuff, and it's really cool. Well, they have an old Shop Saver, and it wasn't. It hadn't. It was a Shop Saver. One end of the table, the other end is a plasma cutter, so it's kind of like half and half, And they, hey, let's finally get this Shop Saver up and running, And I mean, it's old, right? It's not like they just bought it last year thing. It's just been sitting there for the longest time. Called up Shop Saver. They did a video chat, walked them right through, reprogramming. The problem was because it wouldn't accelerate. The problem was the VFD literally went through reprogramming the entire VFD, got the machine up and running and all that stuff, and didn't cost them a dime. I don't know. He said he had some kind of, plan that he had bought when he got the machine or whatever, but it was pretty impressive. Digital Woodcarver, we have some great customer service, but that was, with Shop Saver, very impressive. They know their stuff with their machines, and they handle them. They got right on video chat and figured out what it was and resolved it. Walked them through. Here, press this button, do this, do that, boom, boom, boom. The whole VFD reprogram, and that's a lot of code, a lot of programs, but we got it right up and running, doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's an hour and 3 minutes in. We had a nice little discussion. I want to thank you for hanging out with me on this late evening, and we're going to say our goodbyes, and y'all have a wonderful evening. Ronnie, I'll touch base with you, not tonight, but I'll touch base with you on coming out sometime, and we'll have discussion on that. And then, I will be on the road, ladies and gentlemen. And so no class until the 13th. So don't look for one, but I'll try to release some videos if I can, and things like that in the digital or the Spindle TV exclusive group and things like that. All right, everybody. Y'all have a wonderful night. Thanks for the discussion. Yes, sir. Yeah, and thanks for the discussion. And JR, thank you for coming in and joining me. Alan, Roger S., Ronald S., Ronald Sand, and Kool-Aid, as always, great seeing you. Y'all have a great one. See you now.
Bye.